Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. In the last few hours, 4 commissioners loyal to former governor and now FCT minister Nyesom Wike have resigned in Rivers State. They are the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Professor Zaccheaus Andango, Commissioner for Works, Dr. Dakorima George Kelly, the Commissioner for Special Projects, Chukwuemeka Woke, Commissioner of Social Welfare and Rehabilitation, Inibehe Effiong Aguma, and Commissioner for Finance, Isaac Kamalu. Meanwhile, lawmakers loyal to Wike held their sitting in Port Harcourt, where they criticized Governor Fubara for demolishing the House of Assembly. Uduak Patrick filed this report on the worsening crisis in the South-South state.
The Martins Amewule-led lawmakers seems not to give up in its course of holding on to leadership and decision-making of the House. This is as the factional Speaker Martins Amewule and other lawmakers met despite a court order not to preside over the House. At this plenary, the lawmakers move a motion of urgent public interest, condemning the demolition of the Assembly. They say the event of December 14, 2023 has never happened in the history of democracy in Rivers State.
On behalf of the undersigned honorable members, I rise to move this motion of urgent public interest to condemn the demolition of the Rivers State House of Assembly by Sir Inibehe Effiong, Governor of Rivers State. On the 18th of December 2023, Sir Inibehe Effiong, Governor of Rivers State, commenced the heartless demolition of the Rivers State House of Assembly complex without the approval and knowledge of the Rivers State House of Assembly. I'm convinced that the motive of this demolition is to pave way for the governor to abuse reason to have a meeting with his friend in the government house and make it impossible for proper investigation of the burning of the hallowed chamber and prevention of the legitimate sitting of this house.
Also, member representing Akukutore Constituency 1 in the Rivers State House of Assembly presented a report by the Joint Committee of Public Accounts and Finance Committee.
The committee sat and recommended that this fund management bill be passed. Mr. Speaker, members of the committee that signed the bill, Honorable Major Jack, Honorable Afoji Igwe, Honorable Peter Abe, Honorable Sivalo Nzeakor, Honorable Justina Meji.
By the committee and I commend the committee for the wonderful work they have done. I urge my colleagues that we don't have time to waste and to do the needful for passage of the said bill. The House has thereby resolved as follows: 1. To condemn the brazen and unlawful and heartless demolition of the Rivers State House Assembly complex by Sir Inibehe Effiong, Governor of Rivers State. 2. To draw the attention of the federal government of Nigeria, the Inspector General of Police, the international community, and particularly the United Nations, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and other well-known democracies to the constant attack by the governor on the legislature of Rivers State and an asset democracy. 3. Write to the United Nations and governments of the United Kingdom and the United States on the actions of the governor against the legislature. Convert the auditorium of Rivers State Assembly quarters as our own chamber.
Amewule says the lawmakers will do everything possible to ensure that caretaker committee chairmen do not preside over local government in Rivers State.
Also, 17 ward leaders of the People's Democratic Party in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State have pledged support for Governor Fubara as the political crisis worsens, urging President Bola Tinubu to call the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to order. The ward leaders also condemned attempts by some state lawmakers to impeach the Rivers State governor. Ovieteme George has more.
The political crisis deepens in Rivers State as the membership of the House of Assembly splits into two. A demolition exercise and the presentation of the 2024 appropriation bill by Governor Fubara, with some lawmakers absent, suggests all is not well in the governance structure of the oil-rich state. In this hall are ward leaders of the People's Democratic Party in Obiakpo local government area and kinsman of Nigeria's Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike.
Calling our brother Minister of FCT that he should allow peace reign in Rivers State, and that Rivers people, especially the Obiakpo people, who are not in support of what he's doing, and that he had disappointed people of Obiakpo local government, and we are not ready to follow him. We are going to support the governor of Rivers State because the governor has not committed any crime. We have been asking what is the offense of Fubara, and up till now nobody has told us. Like the former assembly members who are also from our own local governments, the likes of Martin Samehule and Emilia. Anymore from now, we'll start a court process against them because who are the illiterates? We didn't tell them to venture into impeachment.
We are not greedy. We are not wicked. We are law-abiding people. And we resolved over time, even before now, followed in the campaigns to elect Inibehe Fubara. And he is going to rule completely. Nobody will stop him. Not even those paid individuals. But thank God that they are now former House of Assembly members. The ones of Obiakpo are now former. And the party at the national level have directed that the needful should be done, that they should conduct another election so that we fill in new persons that will take over their position.
The Obiakpo people have taken a position on the festering crisis in Rivers State.
We, the people of Obiakpo, have resolved to support our governor, Inibehe Fubara, and we are against every Obiakpo son who will participate in any way to be against the governor. And for the 25 lawmakers that have been sacked, well, I believe wherever they are now, they are licking their wounds because they did not consult properly to know that once you move from another party to another party, you must lose your seat.
I want to call on Mr. President to call Nyesom Wike to order that he is using his office as minister to cause crisis in our state, and we are going to resist him. And we have resolved and said that we are going to support our governor. Obiakpo people are solidly behind him. Any more from we are going to the wards and the community. We have taken a resolution and it's final.
Time is of the essence as calls heighten for President Bola Tinubu's intervention in what looks like a love relationship gone sour for former Governor Wike and his successor Fubara. Ovieteme George, Arise News.
Joining us now are two lawyers, Inibehe Effiong and Fred Nzeakor. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you.
Well,
Good to be with you.
The thing speaks for itself. Okay? This morning we were discussing with Andy Omano, our correspondent who is on the ground in Port Harcourt. And we were saying, look, it looks like there's legislative confusion. Two factions of the House of Assembly, one relying on the ex parte order of a state high court, the other one relying on the order of a federal high court saying that the status quo should be maintained. Two different locations, one faction sitting in government house, another faction sitting in legislative quarters. Politics between Godfather and Godson, Fubara versus Wike. If you Fubara me, I will Wike you. If you Wike me, I will Fubara you. Has the time come for us to begin to advocate that with what looks like a breakdown of public order in Rivers State, that maybe Section 11 should be invoked and the National Assembly should take over the functions of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Because everybody is saying President Tinubu should intervene. They are turning President Tinubu into a headmaster. They are calling him in Osun to come and intervene. They are calling him in Rivers to come and intervene. He's president of the federal government of the Federation of Nigeria, not the headmaster of Rivers, not the headmaster of Osun. Gentlemen, what do you think? Let's start with you, Fred Nzeakor.
I think it's very embarrassing and very shocking that democracy is in coma in Rivers State, outright coma. And what we are seeing is not what can be described as democracy. It can be described as civilian dictatorship. And it's so embarrassing because Rivers people
must not allow themselves to follow a particular trajectory. The trajectory that started during Nigerian Civil War of 1967-1970, when out of all the countries, states of Nigeria, only in Rivers did the Igbo man lose his property, and it was called abandoned property. That means the people have sown bad blood in their polity, and such philosophical and spiritual paradigm must be looked into. And when you now extend that argument, you see that there's no love lost among the leaders of River State. Instead of sowing brotherhood, brotherly love, what you are seeing in Rivers is brotherly brutality. Between 1999 and 2007, Governor Peter Lee was in charge. Did everything he did, brought his boy, in quote, Rotimi Amechi, made him a governor, and how did it end? He couldn't go to Rivers State because Rotimi Amechi ran him out of town. Rotimi now nominated Wike to become Minister of State for Education. What did he get? Rotimi ran out of town by Wike. Now Wike has brought in Fubara, and before you say Jack, there's a problem. And up to today, nobody has said or told Rivers people the sins or the offense of Fubara, the governor. And do you now tie it back to 1967, 1970? The spirit and the ghosts of those who lost their properties is still haunting Rivers State. And I can tell you that the elders of Rivers State need to go back, pick the children, the young ones, and begin to teach them brotherly love instead of brotherly brutality, which is what we are seeing in Rivers State. Recall that the commercialization of kidnapping started in Rivers, and today Nigeria has not gone out of it, and it has festered around the whole country, and nobody is safe. That tells you that whatever is happening in Rivers has a way of affecting the peace of Nigeria. And like the elders will begin to tell you that the Wild Wild West started like this from one corner of the country, and before you know it, it affected the rest of the country. Very deliberate efforts must be made to begin to solve these challenges in Rivers State. On the side of the people of Rivers, they need to nip these issues in the bud, teach their children from the cradle what brotherly love means, so that they will now carry it through to their politics, to their policies, and to their administration, and to everything that goes on in Rivers State. As we speak, what is happening between Wike and Fubara, today it is political issue, tomorrow it has gone to destruction, and the next, God forbid, it may become fatal. The next stage will be the stage of fatality. And by the time it comes to that stage of fatality, vengeance will come in, and it becomes a difficult problem to be handled. So not only that Nigerians are now asking that the leaders of the country must look into Rivers challenge, the people of Rivers and those who are in authority in Rivers State must begin to know that everything that has to do with the welfare of the people must be paramount. What we are seeing today, ego and the interests of one man against the other. And it is costing the state a lot, embarrassing Nigeria and embarrassing democracy.
What is the way forward, Inibehe?
I think it's hard to see. This will, the way I see it, likely be resolved through the courts. But quite sadly too, I'm not sure if the courts will be given the independence to resolve this issue properly. Now, there is a political dimension to it. There is also the legal dimension. Is there really a faction in the House of Assembly? Well, two facts can be correct at the same time. One fact is that the 25 members that we are now told, initially we had 27. We are now hearing it is 25. The defectors, by virtue of Section 109 of the Constitution, having left the political party on which platform they ran election, they are deemed to have lost their seats. Now, when you look at what the Constitution says, beginning from the provisions of Section 106 of the Constitution, you cannot be eligible to even contest election to a House of Assembly except you are a member of a political party and you are sponsored by that political party. Section 221 goes further to outlaws independent candidacy, to say that no association other than a political party shall canvass for votes or sponsor a candidate in an election. So what that says is that because these individuals had assumed their position, their seats in the House on the platform of the PDP nominated them, submitted their names to INEC. The party logo in the ballot papers, the ballot that led to their being declared was that of the PDP. So you cannot say that you have left that party and go to the APC, and then you still want to retain the position and the seats through which you were elected on the platform of the PDP. And this is not a new thing. We have all cited the case of Abegunde and Ondo State House of Assembly, where in 2015 the Supreme Court made it clear that you cannot defect from your party to another party except there is division. And I have listened to the contention of the defectors say, oh, they don't know who the national secretary of the party is. There is dispute as to whether a particular person is the national secretary. That is not division within the interpretation that the Supreme Court has ruled. What did the Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court said that insofar as the party has satisfied the requirements under Section 222, namely that that party has a secretariat in Abuja, in the FCT, that party has national officers whose name must be submitted to INEC, the membership of that party is open to all Nigerians. That is, there is no division in that party, on the basis of ethnicity. You have people from all parts of the country in that party. You cannot say that there is a division. And that the division must be such proportion that the party is incapable of functioning. Can we say today that the PDP is not in existence? Because if you say there is division, that division cannot be peculiar to Rivers State. It has to be national. It has to affect Zamfara. It has to affect Akwa Ibom. It has to affect Lagos. So you cannot sit in your state constituency in Rivers and say that there is division when PDP in FCT is functioning, PDP in Bayelsa is functioning. So the division has to be such that the PDP as a party cannot exist. Now, so that the argument cannot fly. They also claim, that the governor withheld money due to them. That is why they are defective. First, that is not the reason that is known to the Constitution. Secondly, even if that is correct, will the APC now allocate this money to them? So why should that be the basis for your defection? If there are internal issues, they could have stayed within the party to defect. Now, again, the other aspect of this is them having defected. What is the implication? Section 109 sub 2 says that the speaker shall give effect upon satisfactory evidence to the provisions of Section 109 sub 1 by making a proclamation, which I'm aware that who is laying claim to speakership on the basis of the interim order of the court has given effect to. So my postulation is that today, until the court says otherwise, INEC has a constitutional obligation to conduct election. And Wike is a strong advocate that when you defect, you must lose your position.
He said so.
He said so to Zamfara State, former Zamfara State governor. So he cannot be saying a different thing. But politically, what has happened is that Wike is suffering from what I call chronic God complex. Chronic God complex. He has assumed the position of God. And as far as he is concerned, Fubara has committed political apostasy. Having renounced his God or political God, Wike sees it as suicidal. But in the final analysis, this is the price that Nigerians have to pay for having tolerance for dictators. Wike was the governor for 8 years. He did not tolerate dissent. He did not accept contrary views. Nobody could talk to him. Nobody could make suggestions to Wike as governor. And then after 8 years, you made Fubara governor, whether by hook or crook, whether legitimately or otherwise, and you still want to determine. Can you imagine Wike came out to say that no single person from Rivers State that is holding an elected position bought a form? Dr. Abati. Ayo, that is a scandal. And he said it and got away with it. Meaning that House of Assembly members, he bought forms for them. National Assembly members, he bought forms for them. Fubara, he bought forms for them. As what? Rivers State cannot be his property.
Well, all the ones that are very still loyal to him, they were at his birthday a few days ago.
Yes, they celebrated.
From Senate, from House of Reps, and even these 25 lawmakers. They were there at the pepper soup and jollof session to pay homage to the Godfather.
Let me just clarify a few things you've mentioned. One of which is that whether or not, however which way former Governor Wike claims the governor ascended or became governor, INEC declared him as the substantive governor of Rivers State. And also, the people have said that they were the ones who voted him in. Minister of the FCT might have nominated him or backed him, but at the end of the day, what INEC declared was that the people voted for him. He had the highest votes. He was the will of the people, at least majority of the people, and he became governor. So irrespective of claims made, just to clarify that, we can talk about, godfatherism, he backed him up, but at the end of the day, and that's what the people are saying in terms of the fact that FCT minister, we voted him in. You might have anointed him or been his godfather. This is our candidate that we voted in. At least I don't think Governor Wike was the one who put his fingerprint on all the ballots.
The thumbs.
Yes, the thumbs on all the ballots. But let me ask you a question with regards to, so you talked about the implications and what, your interpretation of what's happened in Rivers State. But let's talk about the implications, because despite what you have explained, you've spoken to a few lawyers as well, spoken to, some people have talked about the situation. This Martins Ameule camp have passed 2 bills. I'm sure you're aware of that. The local government autonomy bill and the House of Assembly autonomy bill. On the other hand...
Purportedly.
Yeah, well, so they sat yesterday in the legislative quarters, as you heard. On the other hand, the Inibehe camp have also passed the appropriation bill. In fact, the governor has gone ahead to sign this bill into law, into an act. I mean, the first question I asked about the first camp, the other camp, is who will sign their own bills into, in terms of the governor. But when all this is, decided by the courts, judicial process takes place, what then happens to all these decisions that have been made, including the appropriation bill that didn't go through, at least to the best of our knowledge, scrutiny, because it was submitted one day, the next morning, hours. Yes, it was passed. No questions were asked. It wasn't, the line items weren't checked. They just 4 people decided on such a crucial matter as the appropriation bill of 2024. What's your take on what then happens after the court rules in either, in either party's favor?
I think I should draw the attention of Nigerians to the provisions of Section 102 of the Constitution, because in this debate we've had, I'm not sure I've heard a colleague make recourse to it. Section 102 of the Constitution says that notwithstanding any vacancy in the House, that the House shall still sit and exercise its legislative function. Meaning that by reason of the defection, because there has to be a price, a heavy one that must be paid for this culture of political prostitution. Politicians must pay a price for leaving party on which platform they were elected. So Section 102 says that notwithstanding vacancy or any vacancy in the House, insofar as the House still has membership, that House can sit and exercise functions. Now,
even if it's just one person in the House, if all 20,
that is where I'm going to. That is what I'm going to. Okay. Now, Section 96 speaks to the quorum of the House of Assembly and says that the House shall be properly constituted if it has not less than 1/3 of the membership of that House. Now, I understand Rivers State has about 31 members, if I'm not mistaken.
32. 32. One deceased.
Thank you. Now, what that implies is that at the defection not taking place, you require at least 1/3, right, of the members of that assembly for them to sit. But the order to maintain status quo made by the Federal High Court, as at the time that order was made, there was no defection. If I'm not mistaken, even the interim order, as at the time it was made, there was no defection. Now, what is the process for passage of bill, and which of them is correct? For general bills, Section 100 of the Constitution is clear that the legislative powers of the House of Assembly shall be exercised through bills passed by the House. Regarding appropriation bill, or what is called money bill, you look particularly at Section 120 and 121 of the Constitution that speaks to appropriation bill. And Section 122 says that the governor shall cause to be prepared and be laid before the House of Assembly before the commencement of the fiscal year, a bill to be known as the appropriation bill, estimates for expenditure and so on. Fubara claims he has made his own presentation to the faction loyal to him. And he went further to say he has passed it. Now, the time of passage, before I go to the one of the other faction, the time of passage, 24 hours. Well, the Constitution does not have a timeline on when a bill can be passed. But there is what is called the standing orders of the House of Assembly. And every student of constitutional law knows the process of passage of bill. You have the first reading, in which case the long title of the bill is just read. You have, again, the second reading. It is debated, and then it goes to the committee stage. The various committees will look at it on an item-by-item basis. You have the report stage, where after the committee has deliberated, a report is made, and you have the third reading, which is the final passage. Could they have done this under 24 hours? I doubt. But the facts have to come out. But what this speaks to is desperation. And I had thought that if this faction that is loyal to Fubara is actually exercising legislative functions, they should have been thorough. I had an engagement in the National Assembly this week, and I was made to understand that 130-something committees are looking at the national budget that President Tinubu submitted. So why will you have a bill passed within 24 hours? Now, whatever happens, Section 100 of the Constitution is clear that every bill must be assented to. So this other faction or the former members who are now saying they have passed their own bills, I took interest in even the bills they have passed. I think the media should also speak to that. One is, look, is House financial autonomy for themselves. The second is local governments. So this still shows the politics that they are playing. These bills do not necessarily have to do with the Rivers people. They are trying to solidify their structure, in quotes, and their own interests. But I don't think that can fly at the end of the day. I look at, you were showing it, I did not see the mess. And the Supreme Court has held. Dr. Bati.
There was a miss there.
Well, I don't know if it is legitimate.
It's just that we don't know the...
But the Supreme Court has ruled. The Supreme Court has ruled in several cases, that Long and Darie, the Ladoja's impeachment, that the legislative functions of the House of Assembly cannot be performed outside the precinct, the building that is known to be the House of Assembly.
Certainly not in a
so
hotel
which
room.
one, where is the Rivers State House of Assembly located today? Whether it is a permanent or the interim house. Is it at the government house? Is it in Wike's bedroom? Where is the Rivers State House of Assembly? Nigerians should be told. So I am calling that, I am saying that this drama has to be ended. This has to stop. Wike should put an end to this. He had a free hand. He cannot continue. I mean, he wants to be the Jagaban of Rivers State. And Nigerians should not have tolerance for this kind of thing. As FCT Minister, Wike doesn't listen to anybody. Look at the demolition he's doing. This is the man that nobody can talk to. And you are saying that everything has to be the way you want.
That's in your view. You can't say that authoritatively that he doesn't listen to
I listened to her at church yesterday.
Okay.
The former governor of Rivers State
these are clear.
saying that even the elders, former governors have tried to talk to him and that they have not succeeded. You can go and watch it.
Okay, Fred Nzeakor, let's bring you back into the conversation.
Yes.
Inibehe has been quoting Section 96, which I take to mean that, well, 4 or 5 people can constitute the House of Assembly. But in terms of optics, what does that look like? Because all these lawmakers, they are representing different constituencies, 32 different constituencies in Rivers State. Would that not automatically, beyond the law, amount to not giving those other constituencies voice? Now, INEC is being called upon to go ahead and organize fresh elections. But INEC is not going to do that until the legal process is exhausted.
Absolutely.
And INEC seeks legal opinion,
yes,
and then it's convinced,
yes,
that, okay, this is what the courts have ruled.
Yes.
So what are we facing, really? Are we going to find a situation whereby there will be no legislature, in the real sense, in Rivers State for maybe the next 1 year?
The way it is, it seems so. Why I say it seems so is by the defection of the 27, well, they said 2 had gone back, even if it's 25 out of 32. By such defection, it means that those ones, by the provisions of the law, which has been elaborately reported by my friend Inibehe, that they have automatically lost their seats.
But the main contention is about their claim that there is division within their party.
It is left for
Although I get the point in the Abegunde case.
Yes.
That it's not for the lawmaker to invent
the division.
It has to be real and established.
It has to be real and established. And then when there is contention, whether there is division or not, it has to be, such contention has to be straightened up and interpreted by the law courts. So that means that the courts will still have to come in and then hold the situation and give it the necessary interpretation for their defection to have any meaning. And that is why I agree with you that INEC will be waiting until the legal issues are exhausted before they know whether to go right or left, to conduct an election or not to conduct an election. But as it is presently, in the eye of the law, the prima facie situation is such that only about 6 members of the House of Assembly are legitimately in the House. And when you now look at the 1/3 majority that is required to pass an appropriation act, what is the number of the people that are legitimately legislators in Rivers State? So that's where the technicality comes in. That you are no longer talking about the 32 people.
Yes.
You are now looking at the number of people that are legitimately legislators. Others have been terminated to have resigned. They have resigned their positions, and the positions have not been replaced. So are you going to wait? Is government going to wait until they are replaced before the government will now go ahead to present a budget as required by the Constitution? And that is why the governor had to go and present the budget before the people that he has met. It is not the duty of the governor to know who are there and who are not there. He had come to the chambers, he had presented the budget.
In his own office.
And don't forget that the
chambers in his own office.
court has said, the court has given an interim order that says, in the absence of such chamber, the governor was given an order to provide for them.
In his own office.
No, to provide for them an alternative venue for the house to sit. And he has done so. The court did not say it must not be here or it must not be there. You see, that is where the technicalities now comes in.
And the law is an ass.
I can agree with you that it is creating terrible crisis in Rivers State. And that's why I said that democracy is in coma in Rivers. Now, how many people have now passed the bill? My friend has said that there's no time to say it. You cannot pass the bill within 24 hours. They can stand up, do first reading, have a recess of 30 minutes, come back, do the second reading, have a recess of 30 minutes, come back, do the third reading, and they'll tell you they have observed due process. Yeah. And then the thing has been passed. So what are you going to do about it? At the end of the day, technicality, the
without even reading the proposals.
They will do everything in 30 minutes. Within 24 hours is over. And then they will say the governor will now sign it.
Is not making mockery of our institutions?
Is why
is it not making mockery?
Democracy is in coma, outright coma, making mockery of democracy, making mockery of the will of the people, making mockery of the votes and the mandate handed over to them on the day of election, and making mockery of what our people understand as democracy. This is absolutely not democracy. The experience in Rivers is a shame, a very big shame that 24 hours into the 24 years into the Fourth Republic, we are playing like as if we are in the medieval ages. This is not how we should be playing democracy, which we claim to have borrowed from America, and we have left the juice of that. And I can always say at every opportunity that all these shenanigans will continue until we restructure this country. It will continue because it is not about the people. I was discussing with my friend out there. He said, democracy cannot take a root in this country because it is not owned by the people. Who are the owners of Nigerian democracy? It is owned by the politicians who themselves are not thinking about the people. They are thinking about their pockets, their interests, their ego, and their promotions. Where do the people come in all of this? Take, for example, the people of Rivers State. Where do they come in all of this?
Let me ask you that question. Maybe since Mr. Nzeakor asked that question, Inibehe, would you like to answer that? Where do the people come in? Because I asked the question earlier on. You know, I posed it to our correspondent on ground, Andy, that what's the response or the reaction of the people? Is there any place for the people to respond? Because at the end of the day, these lawmakers are supposed to be representing the interests of their constituents.
Elected by the people, but supposed to be representing the people.
Yes.
Where do the people stand?
Where do the people stand? Because it seems as if they are acting unilaterally without even consulting or understanding the needs of their people. Well, that is me postulating, because if these things are happening, they are passing bills, not scrutinizing it carefully, because this is public funds. This is the commonwealth of the people. Absolutely. Where do the people come in? How do the people take part in this? Where you say democracy should be owned by the people, how does this happen?
We are not a democratic country. I think it is an abuse of language to be saying Nigeria is a democratic. There is no pretense.
So what are we then if we're not
the truth of the matter, I mean, this is a dictatorship.
Civilian dictatorship.
This is civilian dictatorship, or civilian rule at best. There is nothing democratic about our country. The truth of the matter is that in the scheme of things, the people of Rivers State do not matter. I will go and I will challenge you. I mean, you are a journalist. Have you seen the impeachment notice against Fubara? Dr. Bati, have you seen it? Nobody has seen it. What is the offense he has committed? What is the dispute? I heard that President Tinubu tried to mediate. What is the dispute? What is the crisis? between the two of them.
No, the Constitution creates room for that.
Yes,
it says gross misconduct.
Yes, what is
in the opinion?
What is the misconduct? Because there has to be an impeachment notice. I understand it was served on Fubara. And if you look at section 188 of the Constitution, the procedure for impeachment, you have to serve that notice. The moment it is presented on the floor within 7 days, you must cause it to be served on the governor. The governor has about 7 or 14 days to respond. Where is the impeachment notice against Fubara? Let Nigerians see what he has done. No, let Nigerians see the disagreement.
The last paragraph in the
process. 30 minutes.
What I would say, rounding up on that point. Yeah. We had somebody in this country called Adedibo. Where is he today? Politicians have not learned. Governor Wike said, those who sow the seeds of dictatorship will be consumed by dictatorship. Where is Adedibo today? Those who are playing God. Because in the midst of all this, I went to Port Harcourt not long ago. There is a lot of developmental issues that call for attention. They should be having conversation.
Despite the flyovers and bridges built?
No, well, that is for Rivers people to answer. Okay. But I'm saying that if this fight is about hospitals, it's about schools, it's about road construction, it's about institutional reforms, I will listen to them. But that is not what this is about. Look at what is happening. Look at even the commissioners that are resigning. Nigerians should pay attention to the details. Attorney General, that is the only position of commissioner or minister that is recognized under the Constitution. Works, special duties. These are so-called juicy that Nigerian police. So what that speaks to is that you have a situation where you are a governor, but those who are actually running their affairs, they were not determined by you. So the Rivers people have been relegated, and this is unfortunate. So I am saying that let Wike not be wicked. Let Wike allow the people of Rivers State to have access to governor, and let Fubara also. Because you cannot be having legislative business in the government house. It doesn't speak well. That means that tomorrow, if a governor is not happy with decision of a court or with a case, he can go and demolish a court. We should not support these things.
Now, should the governor have demolished the State House of Assembly?
Is he doctor?
Although he says experts advise him that there was failure of integrity and all of that. But, he went beyond the hallowed chambers and just demolished, leveled the entire
complex.
Along with institutional memory. No documents were taken out. No facilities were removed from the place. Everything was just demolished. Whatever history is contained in that place, leveled.
You see, that is the unfortunate thing about this type of political battle. The collateral damage has become so much. Most wickedly, the institutional memory that has been destroyed. The history of the House of Assembly of Rivers State has been tampered with in a very brutal manner. Now, it is that same fight, within this same fight, that the bomb, in quote, that they said happened in the complex, the fire incident that happened in the complex happened. It never happened before the battle started. So if the winch cries in the night and the baby dies in the morning, there is a connection, there is a nexus. So one can easily ascribe the unfortunate incident that happened to the complex to the battle between the two gladiators. And if that happened, now look at the people of Rivers State are now at the losing end. The humongous amount of money spent to build that complex has been wasted. The memory of that complex that has been destroyed is lost. And another large chunk of money will be spent to build another complex within the time frame that agreeable to the governor, because what the governor will now do is to hang the legislature and they will not be able to perform unless they all move back. We saw that happen in Edo State. All right? We saw that happen in Edo State. We saw that happen in some other states where once there is issue between the legislature and the executive will use its executive powers to put the legislature on a hanging balance, and the legislature the feet will never touch the ground. Now they are sitting in a place given to them by the governor as ordered by the court, an interim order, until the finality of these issues are resolved by the court, before we now begin to have a direction. And within that period, Fubara would have gotten some breather from Wike. Many people would have intervened. That is the tactics of war. As far as I'm concerned, it is political war that is going on in Rivers, and governance has gone to the dogs as we speak. And the ultimate losers are the people of Rivers and ultimately the Nigerian people. Because whatever is happening to that important state, the state that is said to be the golden goose that lays the golden hen, the seat of Nigerian oil, one of the richest in the country, and then by all intents and purposes, very important to the flow of foreign exchange into the coffers of the Federation. Once it is happening like that, now ethnicity and tribalism has started creeping in. All other smaller warlords will begin to come out from their cocoons and from their cupboards because there is a space that needs to be occupied. They will now begin to come out to occupy the space because everybody is now a case of fight to finish. River State has become a jungle, and there's no love in the jungle.
All right, let me ask you with regards to timelines, and just to from experience, what's the timeline do you think this whole issue would take in terms of a decision? Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, things are on standstill. So different factions can decide to sit and all that, but ultimately it's the courts that will decide.
Yes.
What are your estimations of the timeline so that people can, when is there a likelihood of a reprieve, and what factors must be introduced to ensure that this happens?
The timeline is as long as it takes the people, the leaders in Rivers State to be reasonable. And when I say the leaders, the governor on one side, and the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, on the other side.
Does the president have any role to play?
Well, to the extent the president's role will be more that of moral suasion, and then if he withdraws power, especially coercive power from the minister ego will deflate.
All right, let me take from that last point. Some people have said, hold your minister, at least he's a political appointee of the president. He has influence over him. In fact, some people have called for the president to even dismiss him from office. Do you think that's a bit too extreme? And that's why I asked, what role does the president have to play? Because one of the parties involved is a political appointee, an employee, if I could put it that way, of the president.
Well, the problem with your question is that it presupposes that Wike's brand of politics is that Tinubu is averse to Wike's brand of politics. I'm not sure if that is consistent with history.
What brand of
yes, because I'm responding to that. Yeah. If you are saying, will President Tinubu sanction Wike, the question is what Wike doing or being perceived to be doing inconsistent with the political ideology of Tinubu as a president? I don't know. But if history is to teach us anything, this is about take it, grab it, and run. That is what this is about. But let the people not suffer for it. The president has a responsibility to tell Wike, I appointed you as the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, right? Focus on developing the FCT. I just got back from the FCT barely 48 hours ago. There are a lot of developmental issues in the FCT that Wike should be concerned about. Where does he have the time to be bothering about the politics, what is going on in Rivers State? So let the president caution him. Let the president tell him that this cannot continue.
You are assuming that Wike is the problem.
Every politics is local. Wike says he doesn't want his structures in Rivers State to be tampered.
What is the structure?
Because when he leaves the FCT, he will have to go back
but what is the structure?
To Rivers State.
Human beings, Dr. Bati, people are the structure.
Yes,
is it not people?
Yes.
The electorates. That should be the structure. Mm-hmm. So is Wike fighting for control of the electorates of Rivers State? What is the structure? They should tell us.
No, he's fighting for control.
Of what?
Of the space.
In his 8 years as governor, who had the structure of the state? Let the president call him to order. What Wike has done is enough for him to be removed as minister.
Anyway.
And I read the APC say that the mediatory role of the president has failed. How can they be telling us that?
Well,
are they saying that Wike cannot be cautioned, that Wike cannot be called to order, that the former governor said they cannot talk to him? Who will talk to Wike for Wike to listen?
I keep making the point. Don't let us turn President Tinubu into a headmaster. The people of Ondo are calling on the president, come to Ondo and save us. The people of Rivers, they are saying, come to Rivers and save us.
Even the people of Kano State.
Oh, also in Kano. They are calling on him.
They're also calling on him.
If the man now assumes that responsibility fully and begins to exercise the authority, we will sit here and say, oh, Tinubu has become a dictator. He wants to control everything. We talk about federalism on one hand, but when there is crisis, we call on the president as headmaster. He has his own constitutional responsibilities.
Absolutely.
But of course, I get your point. He can
He's
exercise
an appointee of the president.
moral suasion.
He's an appointee of the president.
Yes, but, you know,
like I say, let
the
him
president
withdraw.
also cannot openly take sides.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In any case, thank you very much, Inibehe Effiong. Thank you very much, Fred Nzeakor.